I'm on.
This is to be shared on M3, the group. That's why I'm recording it. And for those that do miss it, and that's what we're doing right here. Share your screen. All right, eliminate stress. How to eliminate anxiety, stress, worry, and you can take that down further into doubt and fear and whatever, all those negative vibrations that we have. People say that anxiety and stress is a choice, but it's kind of to me, that's kind of a bold statement, is to just say, well, it puts it on somebody in that way that says, well, like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, why do you do this? And that's not what it's about. Like, nobody in their right mind, no person chooses to come into this world and say, I'm going to feel like crap. And so I don't agree with that 100% and say it's a choice. It's not a choice until we actually know how to make the choice. And that's what this is all about. It's this understanding of what this really is, how things really work to cause these feelings inside of us, and then some action steps so we can start applying it in our life and do what we do here at M3. We continually do it over and over and over again until we create the habit so that we can experience a different life, because we're living from habit all the time. We know that. That's what we're doing right here. Ready, go, set. What do you think of that, honey? What's your next ready, go, set thing? And how are we going to get rid of any anxiety, doubt, and fear that you have about that and just get you just to go? Right here, right now. Franklin D. Roosevelt said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And that's really cool. We hear it on the song. I don't know if it's Cult of Personality or whatever it is, but what does that really mean? It means that the only thing that's really causing you to feel bad is the fear. And fear is a vibration. It's not something that, it's, oh, that thing happened and now I'm fearful. No, that's after the thing. It's the actual fear of you seeing yourself in the future, of feeling that way. And that's a vibration that you're putting out. Your body's going into it. It's causing you to take action. It's preparing you to receive the thing that you don't like. And it's spreading that feeling among those around you too. It's something that can be felt, but the fear is the only thing that we need to worry about. That's it. We don't need to continually get involved with the thing that's, whatever causing the fear. It's the fear that we need to be focusing and looking at, that we can change, because that's the thing that we can make that go away for us. And I think that's a wise quote. And Eleanor Roosevelt said, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. Now, that's a choice, right? You're choosing to look fear in the face. Sometimes we don't make that choice. Sometimes it just shows up for us, but still, whatever's showing up for you in your life, when you understand this stuff, you're going to gain courage, confidence, strength, all those things by facing that fear. You're going to grow from it. Whether you're choosing a direction you want or you're not choosing a direction you want, fear is always there to show you, hey, I've got to grow into the person who this is not a problem for. That's what it's really about. But you're able to say to yourself, I've lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. That's self-confidence. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. That's the path of life. That's it. We're always growing into a higher version of ourselves, which means we're not going to know how to do that. So the more we can become okay with this feeling, this thing that shows up, it says, what the hell are you doing? How am I to get through this? And learn to calm and soothe that, the more we're living a life that we want, the more we're growing into that. That's the real key behind the life that you want. Why do you want the things that you want out there in the world when you think about that? Like, it's because there's a feeling associated with it. You're going to feel good when you feel that way, right? So teaching yourself how to create that feeling is the key. That's what's going to make that happen faster for you. But that's what you're really seeking, is a feeling. I want to feel better now. Now is the only time that we have. I'm going to talk about ignorance and understanding. Ignorance has a lot of negative connotation to it. What is ignorance? It's not a negative word. It just means that you don't know. That's all. That's all that ignorance means. We either have an understanding about something or we don't understand about it. I don't understand being a musician. You know, I know some of you on here understand what that is. I don't. I'm ignorant about that, but that's not something we need to feel bad about. But one of the things that we should never be ignorant about is how our wonderful minds work. That's where the real understanding is, and that's what this Zoom, this webinar is all about. And what are we ignorant about? That causes fear when going for our big goal. Well, I left that from the old slide. It doesn't have to be about going for your big goal. What are we ignorant about? What causes fear, stress, and anxiety? We're ignorant about ourselves and the absolute laws that govern our being. And that's what I'm here to show you about. And I'm going to show you that by using this guy. This is the stick man. This is an understanding. When I ask you to think about your mind, probably what comes to your mind is maybe your brain, something like that. But that's not your mind. Your mind is an activity. It's never going to be seen. It's actually in every cell of your body. And you know that if you felt fear, when it hits you really hard, you can feel it in everything that you do, like all the way down to your fingertips, people say. And so does joy, love, all those things. So mind is, it's not our brain. Our brain is just an electronic switching station. But if you thought that your mind was your brain, what does your brain look like when it's working the right way? And what does it look like when it's working the wrong way? You know, it looks the same to us. It's just not some place where we're going to, but the way that our mind actually works is that it thinks in pictures, and we have no picture, no image for our mind. And that's what this does. This little bobblehead guy might be really funny, but it brings order to what we know to be our mind. And you can now start to see your mind in a way that you understand, my mind is working the way that I want it to work, or I don't feel so good, and I know exactly what's causing that. And it brings so much clarity to what we're doing too, because we're able to see others in that light too. What's actually causing others to do the things that they're doing, because now we have this picture. And then we have something that we can move toward. We can actually see a thought coming through and what feelings it's causing and what kind of action, what it's causing our body to do. That's the whole point of the stick man. It was created by a doctor all the way back in 1934. He seems like a funny guy, but it's a very serious thing. You get to know the stick man, you realize that all things are the stick man. This is how we understand it. Your conscious mind, this is where you and I are. This is where I'm communicating with you right now. I'm communicating with the conscious mind. That's where our senses are. We have a wonderful faculty up there, a higher faculty called imagination. But the conscious mind can accept and reject. You can choose, yes, no, I'm going to listen to that or pay attention to this, or I'm not even going to bother with that and I'm going to think about something else. That's the conscious mind can do that. But we think we're multitaskers. We're not multitaskers. We're multi-fast channel changers. It's really cool that it's designed this way, though. The conscious mind can only have one thought at a time. Now you can switch back and forth, but you really, the way that it is, you can really only think one thing at a time. And unless you're programmed to do so, I'll show you this, is that unless you have this as a habit, you can draw a triangle or a circle with one hand. Let's go circle with one hand and then draw that square with the other hand. And you see, I don't have the ability to do that unless you've habitually programmed that into you. By practicing constant spaced repetition, you get it right there in a second. Like, I can't think about two things at once. I can only think about the circle, or I can think about the square. That's the way the conscious mind works, and it's beautiful that way. Conscious mind also understands time. It understands what the future, it understands the past. And that's a good thing. It really is a good thing, because we can use it in our favor here. Now, subconscious. This is where you're acting from most of the day. First off, I want you to know that subconscious is feeling. This is where you're coming from. This is where your habits are. And that's at the bottom there. I know it's where your habits are. But subconscious is not like conscious mind. It can only accept, and it accepts based on feeling. When you're feeling something, subconscious says it just goes down. And immediately that causes the body to do something. That causes the body to vibrate in a certain way. The body goes into a vibration. But remember this for this webinar. It can only accept, and it accepts unfeeling. Subconscious can only accept and accepts unfeeling, and it's programmed through constant spaced repetition, constant exposure and feedback until something becomes a habit. And then all of your habits, this is where your habits live, is in the subconscious. So you no longer have to think about which foot you're putting forward when you take off to go for a walk, or how to take or how to remember how to drink or say your words like what I'm doing right now. I'm just saying that I have a feeling that I want to communicate something, and it acts all this stuff that I already know how to do habitually through my subconscious. The subconscious only knows now. It has no concept of tomorrow or yesterday. It only knows now. And the body, it's not the bigger part of this picture here. It does exactly what the mind tells it to do. The mind is what controls the body. That's why this was created by a doctor, because he knew that we were just treating symptoms. And he knew that the origination of the things that were going wrong with people were coming in from mind. And that's why he created it, so that he could become part of the healing arts. But remember these things: conscious, subconscious, body. And I want you to think about this. It always flows from the top down. Everything comes from the top down. It doesn't originate in the body. It doesn't originate even in the subconscious. All things flow. The energy that's coming through comes from the top down, the conscious to the subconscious to the body. So why is that important to us? When we talk about anxiety and fear, this is an ignorance. When somebody doesn't understand this, we have programming in our subconscious mind that says, this is who I am. And we call this bondage, because there's no growth here. Nobody's ever stepping out here or doing anything with this. But we're generally having thoughts that are in harmony with that programming. This is me. This is me. And that causes our body to vibrate in a certain way, which causes us to go out in the world, and we get those type of results, what we call X-type results. And that's just being. But when something comes along, an idea, thought, whatever, you don't even have to be consciously really aware of it. It happens so fast, you don't even see it. That's what we're doing with this webinar, is we're creating awareness. But the moment outside idea, what we would call the why idea, comes into the subconscious, and there's no programming there, or there's programming that said this goes really bad for me, or it's not going to go good for me, that causes the body to go into a vibration. And this is what we call anxiety, stress, fear, doubt, and worry. And we bounce off without an understanding. When we have ignorance about this, we bounce off from this over and over and over again, because we don't understand how the whole process works. We don't understand that this is what's happening in our mind. Like I said, we have no picture for the mind. That's what the stick man is. That's what this is about right here. And this is the cycle that repeats. People can't get out of this cycle unless they understand this stuff. And that's why I say right at the beginning of this, that I don't believe that anxiety is really a choice until somebody actually has this understanding of it. They can't make the choice. They don't know what's causing this to happen. They just feel bad, and they do it over and over and over again. It could be as simple as going to a place that something bad happened to you before. Same thing with like PTSD. Hearing a sound that triggers this, and then it causes that feeling, and it feels like I'm not going to be able to deal with this. I'm not going to be able to handle this, and around and around and around it goes. We could say, hey, I know how to feel good. I can listen to music and whatever, but when I go out there in the world and I experience the world, dang it, it happened again. Why did it happen? It's because we don't understand what this is. Round and round and round and go. What is freedom? I was thinking about this right before I got on this webinar. True freedom, you see you on the other side there, is being able to choose how you want to feel in any situation. That's what true feeling or true freedom is. How do you want to feel in any situation, and having control of that? Whether you're going after something that you really want, you don't know how to get it, or whether you're facing a situation that feels like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. True freedom is being able to control those emotions to the point that you don't go into lower energy. Fear, anger, hate, jealousy, whatever. Fear, bad energy. Being able to switch that and know this about your mind is what real freedom is. And what's that all about? Well, you see the stick man over here again, you see bondage. Nothing's changing for this person. They're having the same thoughts and they're vibrating the same way, getting the same results. Here comes the outside idea. We become emotionally involved with the outside idea and it pushes down and it causes the anxiety. What is the understanding? Right there in that moment, we have a meter. I keep referencing this. Something that came to me when I was doing the lives on Facebook. We have a meter that says, I feel good or I feel bad. That's it. I'm feeling bad is a stop. Create the awareness right then and there and understand who you really are. You have the ability to think anything that it is that you want. You don't have to entertain this thought, this particular thought that's causing you to feel like you're going to go through something that you can't control, that's not going to go well for you. That's what this is all about. That's what this freedom is all about. Understanding when you're feeling bad that you have the ability to think a different thought and get emotionally involved with that. Does it resonate? Do you hear what I'm saying? This is the key. It's inserting that awareness. And then again, what we do at M3, what is it? We do it over and over and over again until it becomes a habit. That's the way to freedom. It's not going to go away that you're not going to run into stuff that you don't know how to do or that makes you vibrate in a funny way. The only way that you're going to be able to achieve the freedom is by understanding that you're the one that controls the thoughts. You can choose a different thought. I hope that this resonates. I hope when I go back to this slide right here, you understand just how important this is. The conscious mind can only have one thought at a time. But the subconscious, it can only accept, and it does so by feeling. So whatever thought that you're having that's causing you to feel a certain way, you're the one in control of that. Viktor Frankl said in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he faced the worst stuff that you could imagine. Concentration camps during the war. He watched all of his family die and everything. And what he realized in that moment, he said, no matter what was going on around me, there wasn't anything that could cause me to have a thought that I didn't want to have. I could still have any thought that I wanted. And in that sense, he realized that he was free. There's the power in it. So the ignorant side of it is when we don't understand what our mind is, we don't understand this stick person. We get involved in those thoughts. Those thoughts come. Whatever's happening in our life, we have thoughts and we get a negative emotion involved with that, which causes us to go into a negative vibration. We feel like we're not going to be able to face this thing. And what does that cause? That causes anxiety. Anxiety is just a body that's not vibrating in harmony with law. You got two adverse things that are just fighting themselves there. And anxiety is not something that's actually expressed. Anxiety is suppressed. It's pushed down and it just feels bad. And it leads to something that we call depression or not moving, not doing anything. And we weren't made for that. The longer we stay in depression, it leads to a state that we call dis-ease, a body that's just not at ease. That's where things start going wrong for us. If we stay there too long physically, we start seeing those things show up in our life. And ultimately, if you stay in dis-ease too long, it leads to disintegration. How do we fix it? Knowledge. It's the only way. Understanding this type of information through study of this, showing up here for M3, just like what we were talking about before we got on here. What does it take to get people here so that they can get this wonderful information? They start to change their life. We get knowledge through study. We get understanding through studying, and that sets a vibration for faith. Faith is just, well, let me put it this way. Fear is just faith in reverse direction. Both fear and faith is causing us to think about something that we're projecting out into the future, and it's either in the direction of something that we want or something that we don't want. Faith or fear. but none of it's happening right now. You get it? So as we learn to control these thoughts, we can have thoughts that project us out in a direction that we want. And knowing that those thoughts actually cause a vibration, it's going to cause that thing to move toward us, and it's going to condition us to receive it, is what sets up that faith. You don't know how it's going to show up. You don't need to know how. It's not your business. But through the study and the understanding, you know that that's the law and how it works. What does faith cause? It causes a feeling of well-being. Well-being is not something that we push down. That's something that we love to share with people. It's expressed. Well-being leads to acceleration. You're moving to the next thing and the next thing. Using this wonderful information, you are at ease, and that is a creative state. That's why this stuff coming from the coaching, we're going after a goal we don't know how to do. It's the same. Understanding what that is, that goal, and not knowing how to do it and step out and do it, it's going to cause that funky vibration too. That's what it's all about. That's why we're learning this information this way, but that's why we can take this information and come all the way back to anxiety, stress, worry, doubt, and fear, and how to solve those things in your life. Knowledge, how do we acquire it? We've got to study. M3 Mastermind. If you haven't signed up for M3 Mastermind, by all means, sign up for it. It's the cheapest way to find coaching that I know of, and coaching that really matters. Basically, it's coming from the greatest coach that I know that we have right now, Bob Proctor. He's been doing it for 60 years, and I don't know anybody that's better and understands human potential and growth like he does, and reduces it down to super simple ways of understanding it. Join our group and read stuff that resonates with you, stuff that is universal truth. Things like The Science of Getting Rich. That's a universal truth coming from Wallace Wattles. Think and Grow Rich. All those books that Neville Goddard is the one that resonates most with me. He really takes, because I was raised in a space where church and the Bible was a scary thing for me. And Neville takes that stuff and he really puts it in practical terms in a very loving way of how it applies to us right now, how we can use it right now. But use that information, continue to take that information and build your knowledge and your understanding of who you really are. And when you create that, that creates faith in yourself. The real faith is not in you to go out and do things that you know how to do. The real faith is you being able to believe in yourself to go out and do things that you don't know how to do. That's the key to living the life that you want. You believe in yourself regardless. Know thyself. All science and theology can only come to one conclusion. You are infinite. They don't know what you can do. As I can ask somebody, do you know what you're actually capable of? And I know what the answer is to that question, because nobody knows what we're capable of. The only two sources of reference we have is science and theology, and both of them say, we don't know, you're infinite. You are infinitely capable, and thus you can do anything. Why are you infinite? Just because of some of the stuff that we talked about now, because you can have any thought you want. Nothing can control that. You're the one that's in control of that. And you can create any feeling that you want, when feeling is just a vibration. Vibration is the law of everything. I am vibration. My body is vibration. All of it is just energy vibrating. And you have the ability to control that through your thoughts and your feelings. And thus, anything is possible for you. Action steps. So anxiety and stress, how are we going to do this? We're going to commit to changing by promising to become aware of the times you're feeling anxiety and stress, the times your meter is on, I feel bad. Instead of letting it take you for a ride and just making all this stuff show up in your life and the constant repeat of what yesterday was, we're going to take responsibility for it right now. And we're going to commit to say, when I feel bad, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to become aware of that. We're going to take note of the thoughts associated with the feeling bad. What thoughts are you having there? And ask yourself, can I have a different thought? Yes, you can. And then create the thoughts about that situation. You must search. This is where the work is. It's going to be going against your habits. It's going to be going against your programming. You must search for why this is good. You must search for better thoughts. It's here to make you grow. There's good and bad in everything. Seek and ye shall find, and you will find these thoughts. Create the thoughts that make you feel better, and then commit. Step 5, commit to replacing these thoughts and feelings every time. Just go out in life. It's a practice. Go out and practice doing it, and give yourself love and grace, because you're going to fall. You're going to have moments when you're on the roller coaster ride and you're tied up in a whole bunch of a mess because you went back to old self. So what? You did not pop out into this world and say your name perfectly and take off running. We did a lot of work to get to that point. Give yourself that love and grace to continue to do that work. Don't judge yourself when you fall. Just get right back up on that horse and do it again and again and again until it becomes your habit. And what's going to motivate you to do that is the imagination. Using your imagination to see yourself. What kind of life are you living when this becomes your habit, that you no longer get involved in anxiety and stress? What's it feel like? What's a day feel like for you? I'll bet you come up with some pretty good images there. And that's going to motivate you to keep doing that. Keep doing it until it becomes a habit for you. Take further action. Choose a fear that comes to mind now. Something might have come to mind. It might have jogged it free right now. Something might have come up. Create new thoughts about that, a particular situation that you're facing right now. Create those new thoughts and face it this week right now. Make the choice to do it right now. Face it with this new understanding and knowledge that you've gained here on M3 tonight. Abraham Maslow said you either step forward into growth or back into safety. Safety is what you know. That's your programming, and your current programming is always going to be easier for you to do, even though you don't like the results that it gets. It's easier for you to do because it's a habit, and changing habits is always uncomfortable. That's exactly what this quote is about. Don't step back into safety. It's going to get you the same old, same old. Step forward into that growth. Take this stuff on courageously and take it on with that grace, as I just mentioned, to continue to love yourself and just do it over and over and over again. Thoreau said, if one advances confidently in the directions of his dreams and endeavors, just have to give it your best shot, endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. That's true for all of us. Keep going, keep persevering. That is the end of this. Take this information. It's going to be shared on M3 in the form of a recording, and share it with those that you feel that it can benefit in their life. Invite them to the group. Invite them to sign up for M3 Mastermind. Invite them to like my business page, because I go live on there every day sharing information just like this, so we can all get to where it is that we really want to go. We want to be living lives where we feel better. Next week, brand new webinar, self-confidence. That is it. I will see you all. I hope to see you all, and I hope to see more faces next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
Good night.